How to mix different looks into one project. Hello everybody, my name is Marco Bagnoli, I'm a cinematographer. Today we're looking at a commercial where you actually have different moods. Some things a little bit darker, the other things a little brighter, but somehow they managed to fit everything into one commercial and it doesn't feel wrong. In this cinematography breakdown, I'm going to break down these shots for you so you can recreate them in your own projects and also explain to you why these shots still work together. So this is the first shot we are looking at, and we have this architect guy on his desk in this room doing this thing. Very washed out scene, architects. I do it also a lot because somehow people like to see architects. So how did you create a look like this, or how do you create a look like this? First things first is when you have a location where you have such a huge window, you already have a higher pulse because thinking, boah, bright sun coming in, difficult to control, but they're lucky somehow. They're somehow where in the mountains we have a lot of fog, so the dynamic range is very low. But just imagine you weren't this lucky. First thing is you choose your framing and then you expose for the window. You want to keep the dynamic range, you want to create this look, you have to keep the highlights. When overall you want this dramatic moody mood, this is perfect. Overcast is most of the time the best thing you can have when you're working inside, because now we have a lot more control to choose if you want nice sunlight, because you can just throw on your big lights and shoot it in. Sure, you have to work a little bit around with your angles, but you can always overexpose something so that you can just put big butterfly here, throw in some curtains, throw light at the butterfly with ultraballs, and it would look like brightest sexy daylight you ever seen in your life. But we want a dramatic overcast feeling, so we are very lucky with this fog, but rules are still the same. We want to keep the dynamic range because we want to keep it, the whole room gets darker, and this is nice. If you notice, we have this very cool colors around, and I would always try, when it's possible, when you're working in RAW with red, everything is easy, or black magic, I would still to make it as close as possible on set. What I mean with this, we choose a color temperature, something like 4000, 4200 is most of the time a way to go, so that we make everything a little bit cooler. And then what they've done here is they created nice color contrast with this bulb here. This bulb is also nicely placed on the tactic, because normally this bulb, which you can use an aperture bulb or an Astera bulb, where you control with the app the color temperature, you set this warm, the color contrast is set, and now you need to get key on the sky. And what they've done here, first thing you can do is use the monitor, very bright brightness, but most of the time monitors are not that bright, and also this looks very comped in. What I mean with this is that this is not the actual screen, this is something they tracked in later. But what you can do is they put here a paper on his hand, and the paper is nothing but a reflector, just a soft reflector, and with aiming this light on here, this light bounces back into his face, and when you put nice strong exposure on it, you can get a nice key light. And then later in DaVinci you just drop the exposure down so it doesn't look too extreme. This is a way we can do it. Other possibility is when you're working with a static shot, if you have a VFX artist, you can actually just put a light somewhere here, an F22C or something like this, should always be relative to the size you want to mimic of the light source, and mask it out later with no problem. Or what they've done could here is put MCs on here, and these MCs are giving him the key lights, and because they later replace the screen, you don't see the MCs anymore. So there's several different tactics how you can achieve a look like this, but the bouncing tactic is something they used most of the time on a shot like this. Now, the only other thing they added is this practical, because when you want to have a really cool feeling, everything very fast feels washed out. So, and you don't want just washed out blue colors. You need this warm little spots here and there to make spark a little bit of warmness in here and there. What they didn't do, I'm a big fan, I tell everyone most of the time, just throw in every practical you have. There's some light, there's some light, there's some light, but you have clearly to catch the mood, because you can see we actually have lights here on the ceiling, and a lot of people will probably put an N on, they would throw some spots here and there, and also build warm color. But our goal as a cinematographer in this scene is to fix the focus on this guy. So And when you start adding exposure somewhere else, you're losing your focus. This shot is perfectly created from the cinematographer and director that we only look this guy in the center. I think that's beautiful. When we're going in for the close-up, you can see this nice half-lit look in his face. It really adds to the drama. And there is fill going on here, but it's just a tick. What I mean with that. When you're going, you know, we have this foggy light outside. The light that comes to his face should be really soft, but we still want a lot of contrast. A lot of people dismiss softness with wrap. So when you're there, it's the same, but you have to consider always you can add soft light and still have a contrasty image. And now we have to work with angles so that you want here this creamy source. Here's probably something like 6x6, half frost or something like this, or ultra bounce could also be possible. It depends on the several ways you can get a similar look. Just imagine, because of the glasses we see outside, we don't want to add too much visual interest. So here is something like a Godox 600, which has a really nice size, a little bit above 1 meter on each side, I think 120 or something like this. So it's a big creamy source, and make it as side-lit as possible. Turn it on so that we have this half-lit look, but it still looks nice and creamy because the source is nice and big. So when we would have the problem with the glasses, you could throw even softer. I would throw in, like I said before, 6x6 softbox, not softbox, butterfly, grid cloth, half, something like this. Flag the side away so that we don't hit the wall in the background, and then put the Godox behind it so that we just maximize the size and get a nice soft light. And also what people often do is they work with false colors, which is great. Don't use waveform. I'm a big false color guy. I don't know, still sometimes when I'm on a new set and don't know the people and they throw in this waveform, I say, I don't care what these waves are saying to me. I want false color. And also I don't want this ARRI false color who totally dismisses the use of a false color, because ARRI only shows what is clipping in the dark, where are the skin tones, and that's it. But I want to see everything. I want how dark is this, how bright is this, how bright is this. Much nicer with a small HD setup to set everything up. And because of this ARRI, false colored off, people expose the face always the same. It's always on the same brightness level, but you want to catch the mood. When everything should feel darker, your skin is also darker. Don't put your skin always on the same exposure when you're told it's right. It is right for a lot of use cases when you work on TV and everything has to look perfectly and same and blah, blah, blah. But we do a creative job, so you don't have to put the face on 50, 45, 55 IRE or something like that. You can put it on 20, you can put it on 90. So it just has to fit the moon and the scene. That's what they've done here. This whole scene overall is very dark. So, and it looks good here again in the background. As you can see, the whole image is very cold, but we have this little warm touch in the background. It really complements nicely with the skin color. And again, nice, simple, grayish, orange teal look. We love it. So now we are on this part of the commercial, and now totally different look. Now our saturation gone a little bit up. The whole exposure is very bright. We have a person with red hair, green colors, so everything changed a lot. But why do the shots fit in a commercial? Nevertheless, the reason for it doesn't matter. You can do in a commercial whatever you want, because still they use the same lenses, they use the same camera, so the whole overall image language is the same. So we know the same aspect ratio and blah, blah, blah. So the shots feel the same, use the film stock. So this is something you can do. Then when your contrast is on your black point and white point is in every shot the same, everything feels in the core of everything pretty similar. But the message I want to give you it doesn't matter. You can change in between shots in 9:16, 16:9, 3:2:5:1. I change the lenses, everything. It doesn't matter, because every scene also has a different mood. And when this scene serves the mood better with a different aspect ratio or different colors or different blah, 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 you can do it, because this is not a formula. You're not doing a cake where when you add too much eggs or something like that it goes bad. No, when every part of it is done perfectly by itself, it still works. To create a scene like this, they still use pretty much the same rules than we've done before. Expose for the highlights. In a location like this, when you have huge dynamic range, it really looks professional and rich and cinematic, because we're going here a little bit for this more vintage analog look, also with the color palette. Everything is more saturated, but it's pretty much low in saturation in the whole image. And we get our colors back, even though the color grading saturation is so low, just because there are colors. People forget you don't only use saturation to determine how much color something you have. You need actually have colors also in your image. This shot from a commercial also has nothing to do with the shots before. The only same thing is they use the same practical light, but that's it. But this shot also works because we use the right mood for the situation. Again, we have this kid sitting in front of his laptop. It's more like a gaming-like situation. A lot of people, I don't know why, associate gaming with green and purple light. You have to look for it when you see something that relates to gaming and someone sitting in their room playing something. It's always big green backlight and some purple highlights everywhere. But it's fine. It's a mood. It's something that we set up some time ago, and now everyone goes with it, and it's fine. But here, lighting, pretty easy to do. Here on the corner, you can do something like an F22X again with a grid. Put it on green. Nice key light. Perfect. Then here, put your softest small light that you have. Can use an MC with a softbox in front of it and just blast the light into his face. Practical here. And then here and there a little bit ambience. As you can see, the laptop still is a little bit green. The wall is a little bit green. So that means there's probably another green light that's maybe hitting the ceiling or hitting the wall and a butterfly, that everything just get a nice green tint over the whole image. So if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate subscription from you. My name is Marco Bagnoli, and see you next time.